Yeah, let's just go ahead and get started early because we're going to try and get through a lot of stuff today, and my tendency is to try and do too much than too little. So we'll go ahead and get started now. We built a web app for today's presentation that you can all follow along. If you scan the QR code here, you'll have a copy of the slides as well as the prompts and all the tools that we're using. So I'll give you guys a moment to scan that. Did it work? Yeah. I'm hoping all right, good job. My AI agent did a good job putting this together. I didn't test this beforehand, so cool. Thank you for all for being here today. First thing, I know we all just got real quiet, but this is a community, and I think what makes this community so impactful is getting to know all of you. My name is Chip. I'm the leader here of the Finance Breakout. If you were here last month, you would have heard Austin refer to my name about 6 times. It's been a few months since I've been up here on the stage, so really excited to join you all. But with that, I see a lot of people kind of congregate with their friends. I want everybody to take a stand up, and I want you to go introduce yourself to somebody that you don't know. So I took a very quiet room and I turned it into chaos. So if you all want to go ahead and take your seat again. I think it's really important that we all get to know each other in this way, because AI is something I don't think you should be doing alone. And so I think that's one of the primary benefits of Birmingham AI and these meetups is that you get to meet other people using AI, and you get to learn together. You get to process maybe some of the things that you're going to see here today together. It's been a pretty wild past 60 days in AI. And Andrew's going to go through some of the updates. We're going to look at some tools that maybe many of you did not think AI was capable of doing. And so I encourage you all, when you come to these meetups, meet each other, talk with each other, exchange phone numbers. It's only going to get more weird as we get into 2026, and you're going to want people to talk to about it. So that's what this space is for. You can come here if you've got whatever it is, good opinions, bad opinions, you're excited, you're nervous. That's what this room is all about. So I want you all to give yourselves a round of applause, because this wouldn't be possible without you, first and foremost. So thank you all for taking some time to join us today for lunch. And then also need to give a special shout out to our sponsors. So KeySys and Link are our 2 title sponsors. KeySys is a local Birmingham business here that is in software development. So if you are a business that has been paying for a CRM system or some piece of software, and you're starting to think, maybe we don't need to be paying for that anymore. Maybe we can do it ourselves. KeySys is a great partner to work with on that. And then Link is a beloved Birmingham AI startup, not such a new company, they've been here for quite a while, but they just raised their Series A, which I think was a record for Birmingham, the amount that they raised. And the plumbing behind the scenes, they're focused on AI is moving into different channels, specifically chat and messages. And so Link is there as sort of a connector piece to help get AI from AI models into your iMessages and other chat channels. So a very, very cool startup here in Birmingham that anticipate will have incredible success. So we're very, very grateful to these sponsors. This month we're also really excited to announce we have a new sponsor, UAB Collat School of Business. They are hosting an event here, which I'll share in just a second, that we want to encourage you all to attend. So thank you, UAB. And additionally, we want to say thank you for the other host of sponsors here on the screen. Who's first time to a Birmingham AI event? Oh, wow, okay, a decent number of people. Who, the first time to a finance meeting? Okay. Cool. First time to Innovation Depot. Awesome, we love that. So we also want to give a round of applause and thank you to Innovation Depot for hosting us here and say thank you to them. And then finally, we do have video, audio recording today. This presentation will be available on YouTube, and I want to thank our video recorder. So thank you for being here. As I shared, UAB is hosting an AI into Action event. You're able to register here. Our co-founder, Austin, is going to be one of the panel speakers. It should be a really great event on April 10th, where they're going to be going through hands-on sessions. I don't know what image the poetry is or an AI bartender activity is exactly, but it sounds like a great event, and we all want to support them in that. So we wanted to let you guys know about that event. And the QR code is there if you want to scan that to register. So for those of you joining us for the first time, just a little bit about our mission here at Birmingham AI is that Birmingham AI is here to accelerate the adoption of artificial intelligence in Birmingham for all. We have a couple sayings that we often repeat here at Birmingham AI is that we want AI to happen for you, not to you. And so again, as I shared kind of at the beginning here, this is a community and a safe space that we want all of you to come into and share your experiences and experience AI together, because like I said, I think it's going to get pretty weird here over the next couple of years. So here at the Finance Breakout, we're specifically focused on developing AI-first finance professionals to be visionary leaders in their organization and community. So what that's just saying is we want you to be thinking in AI, in your workflows, and carrying that into your companies and leadership to make your companies more efficient and more valuable. So we're going to give a little bit of demos today on how you may be able to achieve that. And now I'd like to introduce Andrew Becker. Every meeting we go through, just a quick recap of what's happened over the past 30 days in finance AI. There's a lot that's happened, so Andrew's going to do his best to just cover some high points, and I'll turn the mic over to him.
All right, so what happened in February? I don't know if y'all heard about this, but Claude Code came out, and that caused kind of a drop in different software that serves that application. So the thing for, hey, you don't, oh, sorry. So that's a drop in applications where, hey, we're no longer using Salesforce, or hey, we're no longer using Bloomberg for certain things. We're starting to see where Claude Code is able to take over functionality where some of those applications will be used in business. So Claude Cowork is really, really great. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. With that being said, there was also a huge disruption at the end of the day. They actually had, there was an article that got posted by a research group where they talked about the bear case for AI of where, sorry, I can't get this on. The bear case for AI, like what's the future look like within the next 2 years? And they kind of saying, hey, let's look at what AI causes across our businesses. Do you start seeing more layoffs? Do you start seeing the way people change, the way people work, the way businesses are run and such? It's a great article. It's a very lengthy read and something we could probably spend about an hour going through and talking about the different pieces. But it's a great article that's out there that we'll put a link into. It caused a lot of conversation in my job, especially where it was, is this, like, how does this change the way we work in our regular day-to-day roles? And then what are the skills necessary to be successful in those roles? And then if you haven't heard too, Nvidia crushed in earnings. So a lot of that came out of, all right, everybody's now in this AI agent play. We're seeing Claude Code coming out. Now we need the more hardware to go out there and start buying GPUs, more infrastructure, more servers. You know, you're seeing these data centers being built up all over the place. This is doing nothing but helping Nvidia at the end of the day, who builds all the hardware and the infrastructure behind a lot of those applications and softwares. And then with that being said, of another way that we approached it, Perplexity. They actually came out and said, hey, we're going to make a $200 a month computer for you, strictly AI agents. The AI agents will go out there, you tell it what to do as if you're a legal professional or a finance professional, go out there, do the exact tasks that you need to do. Maybe you need to make a client report or a client portfolio. Maybe you need to do some journal entries and reconciliations accounts. The Perplexity is telling us that, hey, no more Windows computers. Here's just something that sits in the cloud and that goes out there and you can just host and use as you want for $200 a month, and you can do your roles very AI and agents. So, and then Block. How many of y'all are familiar with Block at all? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so Block is basically as the renamed Square companies. You type your cards and such. It's run by Jack Dorsey. Recently, they went in and laid off over 2,000 of their employees, citing AI as a reason why. I think one of the things when I was going back through with this one was a lot of it, if you are starting a new company or you are kind of in that space where we're a few years in the road or we're smaller, I think a lot of people are sitting there and saying, hey, how can we use AI for a large part of our roles in our businesses instead of going out and hiring a bunch of people to fill in those spots? So it's a lot of rethinking business processes and saying, hey, this is how we're going to do it now and to go forward in the future and such. And then this last thing, of course, if you haven't heard this one, Anthropic being banned by the government, big news from that space. Where they decided, hey, we do certain things and we do things certain ways with AI. We're not going to do it this way, and they were banned from the government. So that was a very exciting news on their side. It's again keeping that ethics in AI of like, are we using AI for the most meaningful things versus least meaningful things? So big news on that side. But we really want to go back to this concept from I mentioned at the beginning, cowork. It's now out on Windows. Last time we were up here, we watched the demo with Austin. He was going through it, creating things. Hey, I've got this on my computer. It's a Mac. How many of you have a Mac? Most people are like, no, I don't. But Cowork is now out on Windows. It is something that's really great, and you should go out there and try out and test out some different things. And I'm going to let Chip here for a second go out here and show us some of those things that he's done in Cowork and such. So back to Chip.
All right, let's give Andrew a hand. Thank you so much, Andrew.
You're welcome. Oh, hey, bud.
So last month we talked a little bit about super workers, this idea of an AI-first financial professional, an AI-first employee that using AI tools, they're able to increase their productivity 20 times. AI, I don't think it's just it's gonna obviously reshape the future, but I think one of the most significant areas it's gonna reshape is the way that we work. And so today I want to give you a little bit of a taste of what does a super worker look like in using these two tools, Copilot and Perplexity Computer. Both use a orchestration of agents, which is just to say AI that can be autonomous and work on its own. And our roles, I think, are going to start to get really blurry in that while you may be an AI or a finance professional today, using tools like Cowork, Perplexity Computer, and other AI agents is going to allow you to be a pretty decent marketer, a pretty decent Name your profession, HR manager. You know, the intelligence is going to become democratized to a point that really roles are going to shift into instead of managing tasks or work, you're going to be managing AI agents in a way to get your work done. So I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of taste of what that might look like using these new tools. We're going to go through, this is sort of a watch and learn exercise where we're going to go through an equity analysis valuation on Apple. I'll go through kind of the thesis of why we're using Apple. One of the most requested topics that you all always want us to talk about up here is what stock should I buy as it's related to AI. Unfortunately, due to regulatory reasons and compliance reasons, I'm not able to give you financial advice. So today is going to be a demo only, and we're going to come up with a valuation for Apple in 2 different ways. But this is, I think, a little bit demonstrative of what might it look like for an equity analyst in the future using these type of AI tools. And the purpose of these examples is really just to show how to use the tools. Where it becomes really impactful is once you learn the tools, applying your purpose and your knowledge into these to do your own work. So I want you to keep that in mind as we're going through an equity analysis that I recognize that's probably not relevant to all of you. It's just a use case example that we're going to use to demonstrate some of the capabilities. So we're going to have kind of a head-off showdown between these 2 tools to kind of show you a little bit how they work, the differences, and what it means to kind of lean into a super worker mode. So we're going to have a race. Perplexity Computer, which I'll pull up here in a minute and show you, is going to be fully autonomous. We're going to give it 1 prompt. It's got 19 models embedded in it that it can orchestrate and do work. And we're going to fire it and forget it. We're going to let it go. It's going to run for 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes. And while it's running, then we're going to shift over to Cowork. And Cowork and I are going to work through what it might look like to create the same analysis. And then we're going to compare them and contrast them to see which approach maybe was better, or just maybe where you might prefer one over the other depending on your task. So here's the thesis that we're going to give to both. I don't know if y'all have heard about OpenClaw. Who here has heard about OpenClaw? Just about almost the majority of the room. So OpenClaw is sort of a viral new AI agent that a lot of people would refer to almost as a personal autonomous assistant. That's the way that it was designed. It usually lives on some sort of virtual server, or a lot of people are now hosting them on Mac Minis. So OpenClaw has gone viral. Mac Minis are selling out at Apple. They're really hard to buy right now. Additionally, we're starting to see models are now becoming to a scale, and the hardware is coming down in cost that individuals can now host AI models locally in their home. And Apple just happens to have some of the best, most efficient, cost-efficient hardware to run those local models. So the bet, or the thinking is, the market hasn't quite priced in the hardware demand on these devices, and so we're going to try and bake that into a valuation analysis to see what is the true valuation of Apple before they report earnings. All right, so this is the prompt that we're going to use for computer, and you see it's 1 simple prompt. Build a complete buy-side equity research report on Apple. Our thesis is AI-driven hardware demand is going to accelerate Mac Minis selling out, Mac Studios becoming the go-to local model hosting. In our analysis, we want a 3-statement financial analysis using 3 years historical returns, 2 years projected, a DCF model, sensitivity, multiples analysis. So this is the type of report that a buy-side Wall Street analyst would probably spend weeks or even a whole career creating, in the sense that they've been following Apple for a long time. They've got their models that they've been using, and to keep those models up to date and change those is a full-time profession. So we're going to try and see if this 1 prompt, what sort of results we get when we give it to computer. So let me change screens here. So this is Perplexity Computer. Let me just pause for a second. So I'm going to do my best to sportscast narrate kind of what I'm doing in Perplexity Computer and co-work. This is meant to be interactive. That's a great thing I think about these breakout meetings is they're a little bit smaller. So if you have a question, you need me to slow down, raise your hand, speak up. Again, I want this to be collaborative and interactive together so that we're all following along.
I have a question.
Yep.
Have the other models not blocked Perplexity yet from using them? Like the agent?
Not that I'm aware of, yeah. As far as I know, it's using 19 models. There's Opus 4.6. There's, I mean, all the, and you'll see the output. There are plenty powerful models inside computer
Well,
here.
under the hood, what they're doing is they're basically using their own development kits to then say, all right, here I'm at Perplexity, load this on my computer, and then hit those different APIs that reach out to those models.
So this is a standard chat interface that most of you are probably familiar seeing. ChatGPT has one, Claude has one, and we call it chat because it's a one-on-one back and forth conversation. That's the type of AI I think that we're most familiar with. My friend Robert uses the analogy that it's the magic mirror. You talk to the mirror, it talks back to you. What an agent is the genie in the bottle. We're going to shake the bottle, and the genie is going to come back out of the bottle, and we're going to tell it what our wish is. In this case, to create a valuation analysis, and it's going to go do it. So in computer, they call these tasks. So I want you to be thinking about any sort of task in your work life that you may want to automate. And what it's going to do is we'll give a description of what we want it to do, and it's going to launch a virtual private server computer for you to go complete the task, and in a way that additionally we can schedule and repeat that task on some sort of reoccurring basis if we wanted. So let's go ahead and enter in our prompt here, and I'm just going to go ahead, hit send, and it's off to work. So we could sit here and kind of watch. You're going to see a couple things I want to call out now. So it's loading skills. Skills you can think of as little packages of instructions that get us to a better output. So in this case, it's recognized that we need an Office PDF skill to be able to give our deliverable. It needs a research assistant skill. So a skill that Perplexity's already written that says, here's how you go do research and analysis. It has finance market skills. So Perplexity brand, I guess we're going to put the Perplexity branding on this. I think that's just to say a clean formatting on top of the report. So these skills, there's some that are baked in that Perplexity already has that it is available to you. So clicking over here to the skills section, you can see a whole list of different skills. And these skills are task specific. And again, I want you to think of them as little instructions. So we'll do the contract review. And you can see it's a simple file that's just going through the instructions. If you were to do a legal contract review, it's giving it an identity. It's saying you are a legal review assistant. Before reviewing, you need to follow these instructions. If there's not a playbook available, you need to offer to create one and be collaborative with the user that's using the skill. So in this case, we asked computer, we didn't identify and tell it to use any specific skills. It just read our prompt and determined what appropriate skills to use. Now you can call these skills directly into computer if there's a specific task that you want to complete. But then additionally, you can see here, we can edit this skill if we want to take this and we say, this is pretty good, but the way I review a legal contract is a little bit different. So let me chat with this skill and give it the information of how I complete a legal contract review. Additionally, we can create our own skill. Right here, create skill. So there's a whole marketplace of skills out on the internet. If you search agentic skills, you're going to find a bunch of results of people that have built different skills to complete different tasks. But you can also here in Perplexity create your own skill just by chatting and discussing what that task is and how you complete it with the AI agent. And then once that skill is created, it can be pulled in directly either by you calling on it in a task completion or by just the way that we're running it currently inside computer, that it's smart enough to recognize when we need to pull that up. So just checking in again on this report, you can see it's still working.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, getting here, but so generally to reduce creativity in some of these models, you do the chain of thought kind of prompting where you intentionally prompt it along. This seems to just go from A to Z. So how do you control some of that?
Yep, so you can get much more specific in that, and I really like how they frame this as tasks. So one way that you can think about this is instead of taking, this is a task that really should probably be broken down into 10 tasks, which I'll show you in Copilot. So right now I've just given it and said, you have free reign, go complete all these things however you think you need to complete it. Probably a better way to do this is break it down and say, okay, we want to create a DCF model, task number 1. We want to now do a comparables analysis. Use the DCF model in the comparables analysis. So that could also be written specifically into a skill. So we could write a skill that says, this is how I complete a DCF analysis. These are the things that I need in that report. These are the things I need you to cross-check and make sure is correct. And then once that skill is written, I can run that skill against any stock or whatever your particular workflow is. So, yep.
So you created all these skills here, or it's auto-populated?
So these skills are auto-populated. So Perplexity has created a number of skills. There's also, like I said, people are creating these skills all over the place. So you can either upload them or you can create your own skill, which is what I would recommend. If there's a domain, if you have a domain expertise in a very specific task, I would start and create your own skill, or maybe borrow someone else's skill that's already created and then use that to kind of refine and put your personal touch into it.
The way also to look at it too is, I don't know, like depending on what industry you're in. All right, I like to do, I take an idea, I read a high-level paper from Google, then find articles, and like if you kind of start breaking out those steps of things that you even do, maybe in regular role or like around the house, that's where it starts getting really, really powerful, because like at the end of the day, some guy in San Francisco isn't going to know exactly how an investment firm in Birmingham really likes to do their equity analysis. They have a high level thought of it, but how you do it specifically for your clients, how you do it in your role, making those repeatable and those skill sets are really what starts bringing out that value of like, hey, this is what exactly what I'm looking for, what I want.
So I'm testing, I'm going to be fully transparent and honest. I just got Perplexity Computer last night. So I'm learning a little bit along with you guys. Typically how you call a skill in other programs, you just do a backslash and then you call the skill. Let's see if that works here. Yep, okay. So from here it's going to load the skill called create skill. And here we go. It's going to prompt us and ask, what would you like this skill to do? Do you want to create a document? Do you want to automate a workflow? It's going to ask you a series of questions. For now, I'm going to kind of shift gears because we're going to look at something very similar in co-work. So while this is running in Perplexity Computer, I want you to think again of Perplexity Computer as an autonomous AI employee that's going to work on its own. It's going to be able to complete tasks while you're asleep or while you're in a board meeting. And you can schedule those tasks to complete those tasks on whatever recurring basis that you want to do that. So switching now back to co-work. This is Claude Code, which I want to think of as, it has a similar functionality as Perplexity Computer, but in this case it's going to be working directly on your computer, not a externally hosted computer. So what that means is it's going to have direct access to your files. We can select what files that we want to reference it to. We can create a folder for it to add files to. Has the functionality to create, edit, review, and change files directly on your computer. And there's a couple things here that's really interesting in Cowork is they use something called plugins. So plugins is you can think of as a group of skills. So a skill is one very specific task, but say that we have 10 skills that we know that we need to complete an equity valuation. So what Claude or Cowork has done is they've grouped those skills in together where we can call and just say, here are the skills and here's the steps in a way that you can easily call on and put it directly into your task or workflow. So if you hit the plus sign here, there's something called plugins. And we're going to go to just the manage plugins page to just show you what this looks like. So again, you can see they also have a skills database. So here's a couple examples of skills that are in here. You can add a skill. It's just very similar to what I showed you in Perplexity Computer. Both also have these functionalities called connectors, where you can connect it directly to your existing SaaS or other data repositories. So whether that's Google Drive, I subscribe to Morningstar, so I could, if I wanted to pull in direct Morningstar API access, I could do that with a simple click. But then these plugins, they've now created in a way that, again, we're grouping commands and skills together to complete very specific tasks. And they just recently announced a finance, or I'm trying to think how they described it. If we want to add a plugin, they have some browse plugins that Perplexity has created, or Anthropic has created that you can see here for data, legal, sales. It's just a simple one-click install, and it's now added into your user interface. But then there's also a marketplace of personal skills that you can build or you can download plugins that you can download and add. And as we were looking back on February, one of the big headline moving market moves was that Claude Code or Claude Cowork, they released a financial services plugin. And the market reaction was that whether it's equity research, financial analysis, that these plugins are going to be disruptive in the workforce. They're going to be disruptive, disruptive in the industry that they really started repricing software as a service, SaaS providers, in recognition that where software maybe would have been the tool to use to maybe do equity research, you can now do it directly your own way in Cowork. So real quickly, I do want to show, if you're interested in the financial services plugin, how to add that to Cowork, and then we'll get into the workflow of Cowork a little bit. So if you just search Claude Financial Services plugin, this one's a little bit unique is that it's not directly in that plugin area. It's sort of in beta. So if you want to get it, it's a very simple click download that you can see here. It includes financial analysis, investment banking, equity research, private equity, wealth management. And what you're going to do is you're going to copy this URL, and we're going to add it. And you're going to add marketplace by URL, or no, excuse me, add marketplace by GitHub. So you're going to take that URL and you can just paste it directly like that. It syncs and you'll receive all of these plugins. So now let's try and use one of these plugins to complete the task that we are trying to complete here. Something that's really useful when working with AI is to start to plan. So the first thing, and we're going to break this task into several different tasks, unlike how we did it with Perplexity Computer. So in this case, we're going to follow 5 steps. We're going to first do a 3-statement analysis, then we'll do a DCF, comps, multiples, and then the pitch. And again, the way that CodeWork works is we're going to be working directly on a folder on your computer. And in that folder, CodeWork can create files, edit files, delete files. It's going to have full access to your computer to basically control your computer and work to accomplish the task. So in this case,
But when you go home folder that you give, right? Because it can go past your home folder, right?
so it will go outside of the folder sometimes to get other contexts. I did notice that I want you to think of this folder though as sort of the home for the deliverables or for the tasks that we're trying to complete. That's a great point. When I was testing this yesterday, I was sort of surprised that it will, so as an example, it will see these other folders, and if it needs, it probably actually is going to go look at this stock analysis folder when we create the prompt, because it's going to recognize and say, oh, he already has a stock analysis here on the computer. Is that something that we need to look at? So in this case, let's just call this Apple. And this is the folder that we're going to work directly in. And see here, it's going to ask, do you want to give it permission to be able to read, edit, permanently delete? You need to be careful with the information that you put into the model. So that's what's a little bit different about this compared to a regular chat, is that you are giving full access to all the data on your computer to the model to be able to accomplish the tasks that you want it to accomplish. Yeah, so I'm not aware of any legal precedent or challenges at the moment. I would say this was the feedback I got from my head of IT. Don't be dumb. So just be aware of the power, and this is why I'm really trying to demonstrate this and show this to you guys today. I think you need to understand how the tool works before you go in and start putting stuff in it, so that you don't do something that maybe you didn't intend to do. And so with that in mind, I would also think about when you're using these kind of things, take small steps. You know, don't try and solve the client problem that probably has client-sensitive information on it. Start small with a task that will help you learn and see what the model is capable of. So in this case, we're going to start with step 1, and I'm going to say this is a multi-step evaluation, and this is step 1. All right. And you can see here I can actually call directly into these plugins. And in this case, let's see if there is a plugin that might be helpful for this specific task. So it's going to do this anyways and kind of pick which one it thinks. But in this case, we are going to fill out a 3-statement financial model template, and just directly click there, and it's going to call that once we hit send. So it just did that on its own. Okay, that's interesting. So this skill is actually saying if you had a 3-statement template, you could use that template to complete the task. In this case, I'll just say I don't have a template, create one. And it's going to go. So I'm waiting to see, all right, so you can see here again, similar to Perplexity Computer, it's going to show you the skills that it's calling. It needs an Excel skill to create the Excel file. And now it's going to show us the plan. So anywhere in this plan, if there's something that you disagree with or you think needs to be modified, this is an interesting thing I learned here in co-work recently. You can chat or ask a question or make a change here. So I'm going to say I want to be sure we include analysis on our thesis that Mac minis and Apple hardware is going to see unexpected demand because of AI trends. All right. So it's going to go continue to work on that. Let's go back and check on Perplexity Computer.
Hey, when you were given access to that folder, what files were in that?
I didn't put any files in it. So that's a great question. So one way that we could have done this is I could have started and said, hey, I want you to go get the SEC filings for Apple and put it in this folder. I could have gone and got those SEC filings myself and put it in that folder. So you can add things in that folder that will be used as part of the context or part of the analysis that to run whatever task you want it to run. So another example of that might be if you have a template of whether that's, you have a 3-statement model template that you want to use, put it in the folder and then you can prompt to that template. If you
didn't need to, you could have just gotten this online, right?
Yep.
But can you, what is it, Notebook LLM where it uses nothing other than the data you give it? Is that what this is doing or not?
No. So this is going to go get the data it needs to complete the task.
So it's just a waste of a step to give that stuff.
If you want to have control over what it is referencing, then I would put things in there. So as an example, again, if you have a template that certain way that you like things formatted, or the research report, you could put brand guidelines in there as an example to say, hey, I've put the brand guidelines into this folder. I want you to use those in when you create the PDF report to follow our brand standards. So I would think of the folder as one, what's going to live in there. That's going to put skills in there. It's going to put, you can put any sort of templates or context that you want to reference when it's thinking about completing the task. And then the output that it creates is going to be put in that folder as well. Okay, so you can see here we're on step 2. It's saying, all right, we're going to update the steps here to include our thesis. Let's go back to computer, see how that's going. Oh, good. Okay, computer is complete. So let's see how much time this took. 16 minutes. So I think that number is really important in that, and I've seen it work a lot longer. Last night I think it took about 20 minutes, so I think maybe I don't know why today's a little bit shorter, but we are starting to see AI be able to work on tasks for longer and longer periods of time. And it's on an exponential type growth that 16 minutes is relatively low. I can't, do you know offhand what the number is today? We're going to be seeing AI work on problems for 24, 48, multiple days, weeks at a time. Again, in an autonomous way that, just like an employee would, but an employee that doesn't sleep. So here's the report. It would take me too long to go through and check. This is where I think domain expertise is really important when you're running these kind of tasks. One thing I saw that it did not provide was an Excel file for us to kind of cross-check these numbers. Perplexity is known more for some of its financial analysis. I kind of call it the AI of Yahoo Finance, if y'all are familiar with Yahoo Finance. Perplexity has leaned into the finance side a little bit more than some of the other model providers, so it's usually pretty reliable. But you can see here, this is an institutional kind of grade report of what a valuation typically would look like on the buy side for Apple. Is there any questions? Feelings. How's everybody feeling right now? Not a feelings group?
Well, you mentioned it in the call-out when we were talking about this versus cohort. And I think the ongoing conversation about human in the loop just keeps becoming more and more important. And okay, how autonomous can we be, but still make sure we're not just putting AI slop into the world? So you have a report like this, plans. How deep do you read it? How do you research it? How do you cross-reference it? How do you make sure that this is a solid piece of output before it actually...
How do you do the eval to determine it's client ready? So I absolutely agree. I think human in the loop is going to be where we're at for quite some time. I think there's small tasks that are going to be very easy to automate and hand off to AI, but there's still going to be, I think, a human monitoring those tasks to make sure that they're completed the way that they're supposed to be completed. Some of this also gets into, again, highlighting those skills that in the planning process, I'm going through this sort of quickly of one-shotting a report. What I want you to take away here is you have the domain expertise, but now you have a second brain, or you have an agentic AI assistant employee that you can now upload or download into an AI agent to not just talk with it, but to complete a task for you.
Hey, Chip, are you able to see what models created this? I know you said there's 19 models on this computer. Are you able to see if it just went with one, model, or used multiple agents to do this? Are you able to see that?
Let's ask. You can also ask the AI model to do an evaluation of its own results. In this case, I'm kind of interested to see what it'll come back as. AI is notoriously lazy, so if you ask ChatGPT to do an eval on itself, it's not going to do a very good job. But if you ask Claude to do an eval on ChatGPT, it is actually surprisingly really good. So that's part of that orchestration layer that you're starting to see. I think human evals are still really important, but now what you're seeing is AI, people are using AI in an orchestrated way where you're getting an output from one model and you're using another model to kind of evaluate the results and cross-check it. So in this case, we're pushing on it and it's actually, it's giving itself a grade. Okay, so it gave us the steps, modeling approach. I want the specific model names. Here, we'll say, it's probably getting confused. What model are you referring to?
Maybe we'll put model providers, but just
So this is its own computer. It has its now own context in that I could set this up in a way that it's going to rerun this analysis every day. I could set up in a way that says, hey, I want you to redo this analysis whenever there's a big headline about Apple. So there's other things that you can build into this automation that right now we're just trying to get the deliverable. But to just have your employee just do one task it's a very limited employee. Okay, so in this case, it just used one model, it looks like.
Also too, I think, and this is maybe more of a philosophical question, but it makes me think. So when you're talking about having the AI do a task task while you're doing another task, right? So thinking of it, I would have it do more entry-level task, and as a leader or manager, you would have it, you would still review whatever your entry-level people did for you before you put it out, okay? That concept, how are we thinking, like, you have your domain expertise because you did those entry-level tasks originally in the old world. How are we making sure that the next generation still has domain expertise if the AI is going to do all the domain work?
So I think the question is, what skills should a young person be learning to remain, I guess, relevant in an AI world? Or who's going to train?
You have to give them a clue, they need to have enough context to evaluate the report, but if the jobs that give them that context don't exist because AI is doing all of them, then you basically don't have the humans capable of evaluating what the AI spit out well.
So I think this is where it gets a little bit weird and uncomfortable, because we are already at a point where, and this is, again, kind of the acceleration that we're on, that I would argue that the knowledge and intelligence has been democratized to a point, and AI is going to be smarter than any one of us. And your role is no longer going to be having that domain expertise, but having the critical thinking, the judgment, curiosity. Your IQ is going down, but your EQ is going way up. And the challenge that I think many of us are going to have is learning how to let go and delegate. So what's really hard in general people management is the same problem I think we're going to have with AI agents. But in this case, it's going to be a little bit unique in that an AI agent is not a human employee, and it's not software. It's something in between. And so when I think about what skills are going to be really valuable for a young person in the future, I think about leadership, communication, being able to tell a story, relationships. These are the type of industries that many are looking to today and saying they do have some sort of protection against AI, at least for some period of time, until maybe that younger generation all of a sudden becomes more comfortable with AI than they do with humans, which that's hard for me to understand and stomach, but I would say Gen Z probably relates to that a little bit more than many of the people in this room. So, like I said, that's why we're all here to meet, and this is why I really asked all of you to introduce yourself to each other, because I think these are the kind of questions and challenges that we're going to have to be grappling with here over the next 12 months, couple of years, as this technology becomes more and more mature. You're going to be seeing this directly in your workforce or in your workplace, where your work is going to be reshaped in a very significant way. So that's a long-winded answer to, I think, the question, but that's my personal opinion. I'm certainly, and again, this is a space that is open to all opinions, and I don't share that to scare anybody. I share that I think these are things that we need to be thinking about today and talking about today, because yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty fundamental shift.
Hey, Chip, basically, for that one, just a different perspective. I think if you think of a crane, before a crane, we had to make physical structures, and after the crane, we were able to make skyscrapers. I think that's the difference. This is more like an intellectual crane. It's going to allow us to do things that are unimaginable right now. You know, if you think about building, 100-story buildings, where it is unimaginable if we did not have these physical cranes. So just like, there's nobody who's going to say, oh, I can lift all this up and make this physical structure. We were going to see sort of an intellectual, hopefully, we can still screw it up. So there's still a scary part, but I think we'll be able to do stuff that you can't even imagine. I think, if we play our cards right.
Okay, so here's our first output from Cowork. We have an assumptions page. This is in standard industry formatting.
Small. Can't read it.
Thank you, Austin. And I don't know if anyone uses, I don't know what application this is. This is a new computer. Numbers. But you can see it has the standard formatting here. Blue text means that you can edit it as part of like a forecast or or kind of forward-looking. So now we have our document here. It should be in this folder that we created. Yep, there it is. Okay, so we have our first output. And to make this go a little bit quicker, I think we're going to give it a couple steps at once to see how it does. So we're going to do the DCF and co-work. And we're going to run our comp analysis. And again, these prompts could just as easily also be written as a skill. Again, so like right now, we're just running these prompts as very specific to Apple. But if we were to write this out as a skill, we could call upon that skill to complete these tasks on any stock. All right, so that's working on it. Now this is the interactive part. Is there a task anybody wants to see computer automate? Austin?
Well, you can buy me something.
What should we vibe?
Buy me a lobster outfit.
All right, so let's see here. This is gonna, Yep.
Could you rerun what you just did to see how similar the outputs are?
Yeah, we'll do that too.
Hi there, what can I help you with today?
This is another nice feature. They were adding voice into all the models now, so you can directly talk to it. So, hey, I want to vibe code a website with, it's going to be hero page with Austin Sensman in a lobster costume. And this is going to be a landing page for the Caravan AI.
Got it. You'd like a landing page featuring Austin Sensman in a lobster costume, and it's for a European AI.
Nope, it's going to be for Caravan AI, and it's going to be for an OpenClaw class. I want you to optimize this page for SEO, and Austin's kind of a quirky, funny guy, so you have full liberty to make it however you want.
Got it. I passed along the handle to include on the landing page. No worries. I'm working on recalibrating the Apple report and the landing page task simultaneously. If you have more details or changes for either project, just let me know.
Okay. Caribbean AI. I will say one of the resources I put in the computer or in the presentation today is for Whisper AI. So I think one of the most impactful hacks that you can do in using AI is to speak to text. And it's gotten really, really good with AI now. There's a number of different tools. Whisper Flow is a really popular one, but I can't remember what the data is, but I think you can speak 30% faster than you can talk. And the model is going to perform the best when you give it as much context as you can. And you're really reducing that latency from your thoughts and what you want to accomplish when you speak them, as opposed to having them flow through your fingers into the keyboard. So always, when there's an opportunity to use voice, I highly recommend that you do that. The other thing I like about this, we can run multiple tasks, same time in computer. So co-work is going to just work on one folder at a time. I think you could maybe open another co-work instance maybe, but someone's nodding your head yes. Here in computer, we can fire off a number of different tasks at the same time that can work in isolation in separate environments. So let's just go ahead and rerun. I'm going to take the exact same prompt and just go ahead and give it again. See what that comparison looks like. Man, this is getting interesting. There's like an image here. Okay. So, but again, to demonstrate the capabilities of these AI agent tools, today's presentation was made with my personal AI autonomous agent named Plex, that I can speak with him on my phone, and on my way down here today, I was editing the presentation, just speaking into it, saying, hey, we need to add this, hey, we need to take this away, hey, the formatting doesn't look correct here. So this is a full web app, again, that you guys all have access to. Let's go back and check on Cowork, see what's going on over here. Okay, so again, it's invoking it. It knows, you don't even have to call the skills. It's knowing what skills it needs to call to complete the task. The key thing is here, you do want those skills loaded up into your environment so it can call upon them. You can ask it to go find skills. That's the other kind of neat hack. If you say, hey, I need a skill to do X, Y, and Z, you can say, go find it, or create me one. Again, the same way that we kind of highlighted there in the setup. There was this really great page on, oh, actually, you know what? It's over here. So we're still waiting on Cowork. The takeaway here, though, is what I want you to think about is 1 + 1 = 3. You're taking yourself, you're taking an AI agent, and you're completing a lot more work than I think 2 humans could create on their own. But the key is there's 2 individuals or two players involved in this. I think that human in the loop is still going to be very, very critical. You're just going to be way more productive in a way that someone using AI is not. So there's the speed. Your judgment is still going to be a big factor in this, as I shared before. And then there is some different levels of trust that you want to be thinking through. I think to your point, you probably don't want to just go straight into it and give it all of your client data. You need to be diligent in thinking through, is this a task that I want full control over? Is this a task that I want to give maybe some control over but not 100%? Is this something that I'm willing to turn it over but I need to review the output before it can be delivered? Or is this something that I am comfortable giving 100% trust to complete the task? And I would say it's sort of a ladder. You want to progress and think through that, take baby steps and kind of understanding. Using the tools is really what is going to help you learn the tools and understand where they work, where things maybe fall apart. And so that's kind of the purpose of today, is really encourage you to go and experiment. So again, here, this kind of trust ladder and thinking about the simple chat of just using it as a thought partner. Copilot, where maybe you're asking it for ideas, but you get to decide what you want it to do or not do. Cowork is where it's going to do the work, but you're going to watch it. You're going to supervise. You're going to eval it. And then computer, in this case, is where it went and did the work 100% on its own. And again, then you could be the human that goes through the eval to recognize whether that's good or bad. My experience has been, there's not many things that I've given AI that I said do 100% of the work, and there wasn't something I had to come in behind it and say, at least on the initial first try, hey, you didn't do this right, so you need to, and this is the same way I would think with most employees. You give them a task for the first time, they do it 80%. You're usually coming back and saying, hey, you did a really good job here. I think you need to make this adjustment. Come back to me once you make these changes. So I would think of it very similarly.
Are you thinking about Perplexity Computer as subbing? Like, is that a replacement for Claude for you? So it's like there's this evolution that's like, we were on ChatGPT as a team, and we moved to Claude, now it's Perplexity. When we make that move, and like, you lose some of that history potentially. Like, what is your thought on how you use the computer?
Can you repeat the question?
So the question is how, there's lots of different options here. You can do Copilot, you can use Perplexity Computer, you can do this OpenClaw thing, you could, ChatGPT has its own little version. How do you choose or pick a tool? I would just encourage you to pick one and start using it. They all function a little bit similarly. And I think what you're really trying to tool or get a comfortability with is this idea of an agentic AI that is able to complete a task. So there's some common language across them of, tasks, skills, Claude has, plugins. There's different, what I like about computer is I think it's relatively pretty approachable and that it's pretty simple to use, and that it's giving you a computer outside of your computer in an isolated environment that additionally it's always going to run without your computer being turned on, versus co-work is something that is only going to work if you have your computer turned on. So there's, I think, trade-offs to each. I wouldn't let that hold you up on getting in and trying one. Whatever that you feel most comfortable with. I can't tell you exactly which one to use. I'm demonstrating two here, but if co-work or computer calls to you, one that calls to you more than the other, I would say use that one. Yep.
So Claude Cowork and Claude Regular, those are obviously two separate things, but do they tie into each other? Like, is everything you do on Cowork, is that what you're using mainly instead of like the normal Claude app or website, or how do they sync up at all? Or how do they...
So I did notice if you have a project in Claude, you can pull that into Cowork. Project was kind of the hot thing, I guess, a year or two ago, where you can kind of put all your context in one chat, and you can have multiple chats under the same sort of context. You can now pull that into into Cowork. I don't think the context though carries over 100% between Cowork. What Cowork is doing, you're building new context in the folder that you're working in, and
work well in Microsoft, or is it more like Google?
so Cowork is available in Microsoft. They just released that last month. So closing us out here, again, I think the homework that we want you all to take away, yep, real quick.
You have a question on Cowork. Could you create a shared folder? So like Cowork create whatever in the folder that folder is shared, or do you have to drag in something that is accessible to other people in your network?
You can create a shared folder, so I use something called Obsidian, which is sort of like a Google Drive that you can share files across your devices. It's the way that I kind of share file and context, or share a file system with my AI agent. So like I'm running an agent on a Mac Mini, and I don't always have access to that Mac, so instead of having to go to the Mac every time I want to get files, we just have a shared file system that I can access on my phone or anywhere else. So yeah, it can sit on a shared file, edit those files, and then those files sync across your devices. So again, homework, go try one of these tools. Build a skill, and then I want you to time yourself and see. It's going to take a little bit of an upfront investment to kind of set this up and learn this. There's a little bit of tinkering, I guess is the way I would describe it, of trial and error to get familiarity with how these tools work. But once you have it set up, I want you to time how long that task takes versus what maybe it would have taken you. On this page, we've got all the resources here, whether it's Claude Cowork, Perplexity Computer. Claude does have plugins for Excel and PowerPoint now. Interestingly, they do share context, so if you were working on something in Excel and you needed to take something in Excel over to PowerPoint, Claude can trade those back and forth and do that. So maybe that's a demo we show in the future. And then again, as I was sharing, voice input I think is really powerful, so Whisperflow, there's a link for that. These meetings are for all of you, and so we're always interested in your feedback. I'm trying to beat Austin's NPS score. He's a notoriously high score, so please give an honest review today and scan the QR code, or if you already have the website open, give some feedback on there. And then additionally, we do have a YouTube channel, so if you want to reference back to this video will be, this presentation will be recorded and hosted on YouTube, in addition to all of our past meetings and other general breakout meetings. So again, thank you to our sponsors, and if you'd like to register for next month's event, the QR code is here, or any other Birmingham AI events. I believe we're now doing a Birmingham AI meeting every Wednesday and every Thursday? So if you want to eat lunch for free 2 times a week, come to Innovation Depot on Mondays and Thursdays, and you'll be an AI superstar. So thank you all for your time today. It was really enjoyed my time with you all, and hope you have a great rest of your week.